even consider another dog.
Yeah.
This is unbelievable.
Okay, well, you guys just say farewell for now. You're so sensitive.
There's some rescues that we will never forget. And it's not just because of the actual rescue of that dog, but more how the dogs affected our lives. Huron was a dog that we rescued. Blue was.
All right, ready?
When we were still living in California.
Please come.
Brian finally traveled out to New Orleans to help his dog. His dog was tied to his home, shelter, provided the food, water, everything. For 3 solid days and 3 solid nights.
If anybody wants to jump in, there it is.
Dr. Samantha knows what she's doing, and the fact that she's concerned about how this not supposed to be the answers.
George. All right. A couple issues today. Had people mess with my phone, calling at the wee hours of dawn. It's driving me nuts. They're looking for some dude named Rob or Ron or something like that. I can't remember what they said their name was. Anyway, they called back like 2 or 3 times, and I couldn't give them none. I was like, why are you calling me? And they're like, we don't know. I'm like, well, that'll make sense. If you're looking for somebody to call, you probably won't know who it was. I think they said they're looking for Ron, or they were Ron, or something like that. But I couldn't make heads or tails of it. When I turned my screen recorder on, it would cut out like in the conversation of it. But I have the video of that. It's blank to that point whenever the conversation's on. So I don't know what the deal. But we chalk that one. Let me turn my camera. It's easier. There we go. I'm just bored. Got into it a little while ago with this other guy online. I don't know what the deal was with that, but I didn't say anything to really piss him off. I don't know where he come up with the conjecture that I was trying to make him mad or something. Who we got here? Looks like somebody. I think that's Susanna Sky. How's it going? Let's see. Oops. Continue the conversation. It's George. Hey. Look around. Let us know. Okay. Okay, thanks. I'm telling him I'm back on. Back online. Oh, man. Cool. All right, let's see who we got. I invited a few people here. Others suggested. Shit. This is crazy. Anybody else, just copy the link. I put it on my video so you can get on there. Since Sky was on. Basically, everybody, I was locked up for like 4 months. That's why I haven't made any videos. Hey, George replied, said nice. I've been gone in Huron County, Ohio, where they gave me some bogus charges. I had to plead out to a trespassing charge over a burglary charge, which I didn't burglarize anything. I was minding my own business. I got chased to Huron County last year by a bunch of gangstalkers, people with bright LED headlights. There's hundreds of cars. I got chased from Mansfield, Ohio to Huron County. And basically they ran me in circles. They had detour signs out in the middle of the sticks and ran me in the circles till I ran out of gas. A helicopter was chasing me. There was nice overseas vehicles, BMWs, Durangos, and they all had their high beams on. They ended up chasing me behind a Walmart in a wooded area. I've never been to this town, so I don't know what was going on. So I ended up locking the vehicle up. I took a machete with me, 2 bottles of water, and I took off hauling ass. I threw my keys in my wallet at the wood line. And then through the middle of all that, these people were making loud noises. It was I could hear 4-wheel drives and stuff while I was hiding in the woods. And I heard the helicopter land. I seen the lights. And then it sounded like somebody was screaming like they got killed or something. And it put me like in total fright. I just laid down on the ground underneath like by a stump. And then an hour or so later, these people started walking in the woods. They had like glow in the dark blue patches on their shoulder and their breast. It was like a really light glow, but I could see them moving towards me. So I just froze. And when they got close enough to me, within 5 or 10 feet, I just locked up. And they put some kind of, I don't know what it was, some kind of stuff in the corner of my eyeball. It clamped down. I could feel gun barrels around my head and everything. It sounds crazy, but that's what happened. And after that, I ended up falling asleep and woke up the next morning, and I tried to get out to my vehicle, and my vehicle was gone. And I ended up having to go through the woods there to find out where I was at. And then when I got down on this trail, I got some of the video footage when I went back to it on my page, and you can see where in detail where I was at. And what I was talking about. I was still confused at the time because I didn't understand what was going on with the Gangstalking thing and everything. I didn't even hear about it at this point. But I was out in the woods there. Prior to that, I was out there walking around. Then I started hearing like dirt bikes and four wheelers and stuff, and I ended up running into a big giant marijuana growing operation. And then I started seeing these people come through the woods. This is in broad daylight, mind you. And I took off running from them. It seemed like they had cameras or motion detectors or something out there, which they probably did. And they were following me everywhere I went. So I ended up trying to clear this creek. And when I jumped across the creek, I went about to my eyeballs in water. I hit a deep spot because I didn't clear it. So I took off running. I was squeaking, had my Converses on and everything, and I was squeaking, making a lot of noise, and it was humid outside. So I ended up getting behind the thicket and like stripping down. I took all my clothes off down to my boxers, and I had the machete with me still. I ended up like going Rambo style, I guess you could say. I made slits in the boxers so I could run faster. I tied my shoes and my pants and shirt and everything, and I had to take a silver Figaro chain off, put it in my pocket because it was like glistening in the sunlight. So I went back to this part of the creek and found some clay and rubbed it all over my face and on my arms and everything. And after that, I was getting chased and shot at. And every time I tried to come up into the wood line, these people, they'd pop out of nowhere. And everywhere I was at out there, I couldn't leave. And I just heard bullets whizzing by me and people laughing and shit. And they finally chased me in circles. Every time they would come across one side, that I'd get to the top, and here they'd come, and I'd have to run back to the other side and back and forth. And by the time all this has happened, I was out of breath, and I had like one of the little bottles with me. So I cut it with a machete, took some sand and some grass, filtered what I could out of the creek to drink at a good running point, and ended up making me sick a little time after that. I was dry heaving and everything. Really, really made me sick. Well, after I probably guess about 6 hours of running, I ended up out in the middle of some cornfield where they chased me out to the road, and I turned around and had the machete in my hand. I was put my hands up and dropped the machete because they had their guns pointed at me after all this happened. And I'm like, hey, man, you guys win. Just stop. I don't understand what's going on. What are you guys doing? I'm bleeding. You shot me. They nicked my shoulder blade on my right shoulder. And I'm leaking blood. I'm all cut up from briars and everything. And they told me that there's a house that was for sale a little ways out. And I was almost to it. Just go. I think they said it was about a quarter mile through the woods in the direction I was headed. And the basement door was unlocked to go in there and chill out. And then when I got my bearings to get the hell out of their town. So after that, I took off that way. And then as I was walking, I seen them like sidelining me through the woods, aiming their guns at me. I thought they were going to kill me, but I ended up going there, and just like they said, it was there. And the basement door was unlocked. Nobody lived in this house. And I went in there, and there was no water. There was like a little bit in the pipes. It had like some kind of sophisticated like electronic, I'm going to say a water system in the house, but it wasn't through what do you call it, a water heater. It was all computerized and stuff. It was a really nice house. It's for sale still. And like I was there a day. Next day, the water department guy comes, and I come outside, and he's like, well, I heard you was here. I'll turn the water on for you. Somebody told me he was here. I'm like, okay. I just played it off. I thought it was part of the deal. Next thing I know, I got water, so I'm like gurgling water down. And then later on that night, I could hear people outside laughing and doing all kinds of weird shit. Like I thought I heard somebody in the house. I'd go upstairs to check it because the water thing was down in the basement. Nobody was there. It kind of spooked me because it was pitch black and I didn't know where the hell I was. So I just kept drinking water until the next day the water was off. I guess they come back and turned it off. So I needed more water. I was really dehydrated. So I opened the freezer upstairs and scraped off the frost inside the freezer. I kind of thawed it, found some trash bags, and started drinking that. By that time, I passed back out and woke up, I guess, the next day. was there a couple days, and this old hippie-looking guy, he was the caretaker of the house. He showed up, and he asked me what I was doing there, and I played it off dumb, like I lost my mind. I don't know who I am. I don't know where I'm at. I'm John Doe and all this other shit. And he was cool with it at first, and then he thought he heard somebody out back. He asked me if I was by myself, and I told him, yeah, I don't know where my vehicle is or anything like that. And then he called the cops because he thought he heard somebody else besides myself. And next thing I know, cops show up, and I was all cut up, bleeding and everything, and they were asking me questions, and I just played dumb because I was in shock from everything that's happened so far. And they ended up calling the EMS, and they took me to the hospital at Fisher Titus there in Huron County. And I was in ICU for a couple weeks, and they were still trying to wring it out of me, like when I first got there, like, who are you and all this other stuff. And I just played it stupid. I didn't know. I played like, I don't know who I am. I'm John Doe and all this other shit. And I don't know if they bought it, but my discovery, they were supposed to hold me there and release me to the jail when I was to be released from the hospital. Well, they didn't do that. They ended up letting me go. I had a friend of mine come from Mansfield, and he found my truck. They had an impound. It was like $470 something. And next thing I know, we're getting my truck out. I had to go back and find my keys where that Walmart was. We had to Google where Walmart was, and they had like a softball tournament or something there in Huron County, and I had no clothes on. Basically, I had the hospital paper clothes, and it was embarrassing having to go out there in front of all these fucking people to retrieve my keys and everything, and just hopping out of a van in front of hundreds of people, get my wallet and my keys. And then, like, the next day, we went back and went to the impound and got my stuff. And then after that, I was in Mansfield for a little bit. I got another job I had to go do, and then I ended up driving Amish people around by this other person. It was supposed to be one of my friends, but they were in on it shit too. Like the very next day, talking me into going to Ashtabula County. So I did, and that's where everything else took a turn, a nosedive, and it got me to this point where I'm at now. Actually, I'm out of it. I got 3 years probation, which is not going to be a problem because I don't get in trouble. I don't do drugs or anything. I mean, I used to drink a little bit, but nothing fucking severe enough to do that. But I'm just trying to take it one day at a time right now. I appreciate George and everybody from Bolt Action News Group, man. You guys really did do a lot for me, and I'm going to give you a shout out to say thank you very much. And I know you're still working on it with me, and you're doing what you can, and you got some federal people looking at stuff, and everything I mailed you guys, I really, really, really appreciate it. And I know it took me some time to get everything off the ground, and it sounds like I'm talking in circles a lot, but I could definitely put it in chronological order, especially on here now that I know how this works. And if anybody out there has any similar stories, that's just a little bit. That's just like the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more, and I got a lot of documented proof that I sent to these gentlemen, and I have a lot on my page that kind of it's split up in different sections of what happened. But I've gotten so used to doing all this, and it's the norm to me now. I could actually make a movie or write a book on this stuff, but I don't want to do that for any profit. If I was going to do it, I'd make a charity for people that are victims of this stuff and bring it into congressional hearing and tell them what I went through, what other people went through, because it's pretty sick and demented and twisted that our country has operational programs that subject their citizens to shit and ruin people's lives and ruin their families' lives, and just their goal is to destroy them, to absolutely break them down, to hammer them down to rock bottom to where they cannot dig out. And luckily for me, I've had people that been by my side, and I've stuck through it all, and I've had other people stick through it with me. So that's about all to say on that one. But Congress definitely needs to know about this stuff, which I'm sure some of them do, and it needs to be brought to the public's attention that this is a serious ordeal, not with just myself, with other people. I've met a lot of people online where it's damaged a lot of people's health, their physical well-being, their mental health, their family, their friends, their jobs, their finances, everything, their children. It's really sad. I don't know. I get emotional thinking about it, but it's a horrible, horrible world out there, and these people are demonic, controlled. There's no other way to explain it. And God's helped me through all this stuff, and without that, I'd have been dead a long time ago. I should be dead from everything that happened. All the people involved, family, friends, people I don't even know. Even it's like the Matrix or something. It's absolutely horrible. But needless to say, I dug my way out of this, and everything seems to be better now. Anybody's got something to say, just go ahead and say it. I'm sitting here waiting and chilling. George says, nice. Okay. Yes. Ooh. Ooh. All right. I don't know what to do. I'm new. I don't know what to do. I sent the link. Everybody can find it. Get some sleep, hon. Feels like you had a little bit. The sports guy called me and they wanted me to explain to me how all that stuff works. I'm like, I don't have any money. I mean, I'm not going to piss it away. I said she'd crack my head if I tried that anyway. I ain't going to yet. This is it. He was talking about the Auburn and Alabama game, which I'm not either a fan, but I definitely bet on Alabama. Yes, because they always win. Ooh, let's see. Let me share this again. Copy stream. All right, let me roll back over to YouTube right quick. Hold on, I'll be right back. Shit. I had the live stream earlier. I just have to search my page, huh? Yeah. All right, I'm back on here. I had to jump. I don't know why this thing's working so shitty. Um, I had to jump back to YouTube, answer questions, and this I can't do it right. I don't know. I'm literally something. I don't know. I usually don't have any problems. But I sent the link on the bottom of the screen. So everybody can try to jump in here to melanapp.com studio. And this is how I did my interview for Bolt Action News Group back this summer on a Saturday night. Bang, the program. It was an hour and 47 minutes long back in May. And it was really successful. Yeah, basically on the Melon app, you have to type in your email address and get a code, basically. And then after that, you can jump right in with me. It's a happy camper. One with the fighting chickens on it. You'll see it. I got this message. I can read it a lot better on here instead of bouncing back and forth, which don't matter to me. I ain't going nowhere. I got plenty of time on my hands this evening. Now, I was going to get to the point where I was going to tell you about why I went to jail. Let me go back to part 2 of the story. When the person wanted me to go to Ashtabula County last summer, they wanted me to ride around and take Amish people places, do Amish runs. Well, what I didn't realize, that's basically a big setup too. I don't want to really get into all that because I don't feel like getting murdered by a bunch of bearded people. And the Bolt Action guys can tell you about that. Because as soon as they posted that stuff on the interview that I had, I started getting phone calls from like some of the people that was involved with that, and they want me to come back to their town and do some runs for them, and I'm not doing that. And I believe in the Amish mafia, not just that. They're involved with cartels and stuff, and human trafficking, and I don't know how the hell they sent me in this big ass blender of shit, but it's totally not cool, and I'm trying to be cool. But I don't know what the CIA has done, but they definitely had got me on a blacklist of some sort where I pissed them off so bad they want me dead, bigger than shit, and they tried to. Well, the Ashtabula thing. Let me get to that. After I was no longer needed to work off debts and everything, and failed attempts to run me off the road and poison me and all kinds of other shit. I got taken out in the middle of Lake Erie in a boat with no radio, no GPS, owned by someone that was a hit boat, basically. It was used for these things before or something. And the guy that had the boat, that borrowed it, I guess, he had other boats, and it just raised a lot of questions why we didn't use that other boat instead of the one we took. And going out there, it was a horrible ordeal. Let me tell you like this. Went out on the boat. There's a little flip flop going around. Basically, I was told I was going to be a statistic out there. Everybody started getting weird on me. The Coast Guard screeched up a few times, and they turned around and left after I called 911. 911 didn't know where the hell we was at. And they were saying we were 10 miles out and we were only a couple from the bank. And I ended up taking over the boat with a flay knife, forcing the gentleman to go back to the boat dock to get me off the boat. And they were trying to drop me in the lake there in 68 feet of water. but I overpowered the guy that was operating the boat, and we ended up getting back. I took a picture of it, took a picture of him, the run number. I did some research on that. I know who it's registered to, which is Commerce Phone. I don't remember their names, but Ashtabula police showed up. They knew what was going on. Obviously, they were involved from what everything went down. They wouldn't let me talk to the Coast Guard when the Coast Guard comes screeching up on me. And I went to some shitty little jail that didn't even look like a jail. That had like a laptop in there and an old school fingerprint thing. Now everything's electronic. So they found out I had a warrant out of Huron County, and the next thing I know, a couple days later, I'm getting shipped there. I have no idea why I had a warrant for my arrest. And then they ended up telling me I was being held for F3 burglary. My, my speedy trial rights were violated while I was there. They wouldn't let me have my cell phone numbers off my cell phone. They said federal investigators were looking at my stuff. They went through all my legal papers. They took all my stuff and my contacts, made copies, and kept them. And next thing I know, I'm there 88 days, and they waited to indict me on another charge, which was F4 of felony trespassing in a habitation for going into that house. And you can read the discovery. Bolt Action News has it. You can look it up in the Huron County, Norwalk Public Records of Common Pleas. It tells my discovery, it tells everything. It's bizarre. And they're definitely involved. Let's see. After I got out of that, I got out of jail on my 88th day. They put an old